Michigan discussion. And obviously, we streamed the Alabama Michigan game. It was a great one. I wasn't able to stream the Washington Texas game, but that was another good one. But guess what? Monday, we will be streaming the championship. We will be streaming Washington and Michigan. So if you have not, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss out as we get into this predictions. Obviously, the game is going to be on Monday at 7:30. I will be streaming it probably around like 6:45, maybe 6:30, is depending on what kind of work I got to take care of. But I will be streaming it, and I'll probably be on a little early. Now, before we get started, quick shout out to the Wrench Gang. Quick shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers as we prepare to get into it. Now, some quick information as far as the odds, the spread. The over under for Washington and Michigan is going to be 56 and a half. Michigan is favored by 4.5. As far as the money line is going to be plus 160 for Washington and minus 190 for Michigan. As far as the matchup predictor is 25.7% for Washington, 74.3% for Michigan. Now, these matchup predictors have, a tendency of being very funny with how the numbers are scaled and how basically people pick and the landslide being it for Michigan. I don't think that's a true tale of the actual expectations coming for Washington. You have the number one, number two teams heading into the championship, so I definitely think it's maybe a little bit more closer to like a 48-ish, 52, 51, because you'd have some slippage there as far as that goes. But I do think it's a lot closer as far as for Washington than the match predictor is saying. With that said, if we get into some of the issues that Washington does have, it is going to be their defense and the amount of yards that they allow. Uh, it's one of those situations where you're thinking that Michigan may be able to put up anywhere between 350 to 400 yards, just depending on how this could go, because the defense is troublesome for Washington. Now, on the flip side, it's going to be a big deal for Michigan's defense as far as what they allow Michael Penix to do. And that offense and what they're able to do as far as, they showed against Texas has been great. So I do feel if we just throw everything out the window as far as what happened in regular season and we digest this game as for what it is, which is a championship game, I do think that you're going to see more of a defensive approach for both teams. And this offense on both sides is definitely going to have a lot of jitters, a lot of nervousness going out there. Probably one of the biggest games of their lives. So we'll definitely see some people step up, some people make mistakes, as we've seen in the Alabama game. Right? We've seen McCarthy throw an early pick, literally the first play of the game, and they obviously bounced back, started playing a little more focused, got everything together because the defense decided to step up, and then obviously went on to go win. So, quick shout outs. So, shout out to you, Coach. What up, man? What's going on with you? Teddy, what up, yo? As we address some of these comments here. Shout out to you, Shantae. What's going on with you? Jimbo in the building. Says finishing up the second shift. James, it's been good, man. It's been good. I've been good. Teddy says he'll be watching as long as it's not 63-3. Yeah, that's always the biggest thing when we get into these college games, and depending on whether or not a specific team is actually going to be competitive enough. I think that's the biggest question, but I don't think we're going to have this specific kind of situation as far as in this game. I think Washington's definitely going to put up some points as well as Michigan, and it's going to be a little closer than probably what we think it will be. I could be completely wrong. Michigan could completely destroy Washington, or on the flip side, Washington could completely destroy Michigan, but I don't see that happening. And I don't think we're going to have a game where it's 50-3 or anything crazy like that. Shout out to Case Breaker Bressler. What up, man? Case Bressler in the building. Shout out to Daniel. What's going on, bro? Jacob says, "Yo, Jay, Wimby blocked Giannis." Ooh, I gotta see that. I gotta check that out. Teddy says, "Jay, are you doing the Bills game Sunday?" Of course, my friend. Five times the flip side. What do Washington actually see for defense in the Pac-12? That's definitely a good question. Lorenzo says Penix Jr. Jr. will light them up. This defense last gave up 51 to TCU. Washington is fast. And so flipping back to Father Time, I mean, it's been, I'm not going to say a mixed bag, but they have definitely been allowing a lot of points and a lot of yards. But going into this game, I think they're definitely going to make the necessary adjustments that they need to against Michigan, and probably keep this game a lot, wrapped up tighter than what they normally have. I'm sure they know the stakes. I'm sure they know what they're going to need to bring to the table. And as far as coaching goes, I think they're definitely going to have these guys ready to go out there and actually ball. The question is the execution, right? Because you can coach your ass off for any team, whether or not they're going to actually go out there and execute and play at the level that they need to, and go into this game and know that they're champions and believe that they are going to be. That's going to be the difference of whether or not this defense is going to step up and be able to stop McCarthy and company, and that offense. So yeah, Lori says, "Are you wanting Michigan to win, Jay?" So we're gonna get into it in a minute as far as my prediction, but I just want to break things down for right now, and then we'll get into the predictions. So as far as the leaders for the Huskies, obviously Michael Penix has 4,648 yards. As far as Johnson, 1,162 yards. Odunze has 1,553 yards. And as far as those numbers there, absolutely amazing, right? When you have a dynamic and powerful offense like Washington going up against a team like Michigan, that's where the issue lies in this game. Can they keep up the same kind of production? Are we going to see, Penix be able to roll out against this strong defense that we've seen? Because Milrow had trouble getting away from this Michigan defense. It was very, very tough. And what we've seen from Texas is, Penix really figuring out how to maneuver through that defense and actually break through those gaps, get rid of the ball, and make big plays. I'm not sure if Michigan's going to allow that, and it's going to be a true test for Michael Penix. But then on the flip side, whether or not that offensive line, it has its own questions. Are they going to be able to give him time back there to make proper decisions and get rid of that ball? That's another question that we do have. Now, getting into Michigan, right? If we look at their last, I'll say 5 games. Obviously, you got the 27-20 win in OT against Alabama. You got the 26-0 win against Iowa, 30-24 win against OSU, 31-24 win against Maryland, and then 24-15 win against Penn State. So when you start to look at those scores and how close some of these games have been, that really shows me that Washington does definitely have a strong chance in this game against them, especially if they're able to keep it close. If I go back here, come on. There we go. If I go back and look at Washington's, or the Huskies rather, 37-31 win against Texas, 34-31 win against Oregon, 24-21 win against WSU, 22-20 win against Oregon State, 35-28 win against Utah. So right there, both teams are definitely playing ball. And whether or not it's going to be the defense that gets the win or more so the offense, that's really what's most in question for me. And right now, I think Washington probably has the better offense, and it's just going to be the question of who's able to step up and actually break through that Michigan defense. With that said, I think it's going to come down to the wire. I don't think we're going to see a blowout in this game. I think Monday night we'll see Washington surprise, and they'll win this game by a touchdown. It's crazy. I was thinking Michigan, but after I broke everything down, I've been going over this stuff back and forth all day before we did this video. And from what I'm seeing, I think Washington may pull this off, even with, all the strong defense that Michigan has. It's definitely going to be a different ball game in the championship. And we'll see. But I'm going to say Washington by 7. There you go. Shout out to you, Lori. Blake says, if I did Jay, says go Washington. I'll take Washington by 3. Okay, Blake, shout out to you, bro. Father Time says the Michigan D against Iowa's offense doesn't prove anything. Teddy says I have Washington 49-35. Corey says I got Washington too. Shante says, I predict a respectable scoring game, like around maybe 20 to 28, and I think Washington is the 28. I mean, you know, from everything that I'm looking at and the talent that Washington has, I do think this is one team right now, especially in the championship, that could put up a real fight against Michigan. And I like Michigan, right? I told you guys who I had going to the championship, and it's been Michigan all along. And then later in the few weeks that I really started picking up with college, I said I think Washington's going to go. And then once we got to the Alabama game, I said, hey, it's going to be Michigan and Washington. And lo and behold, here we are. So, do I think it's going to be easy? No, it's not going to be easy at all. But from what I've seen from McCarthy, I just feel like he was very inconsistent in that Alabama game. And there was a few moments that I feel like it really, really could have went either way. And that's because of some of the decision making that he displayed. Some of the times where the offensive line really, really got tired and played sluggish. And I don't know if they're going to be able to keep the consistency that they need to help him the get through the game. Now, with that said, I think the biggest factor that came down to that Alabama and Michigan game was overtime and how they basically deferred and said, "Hey, we'll go ahead and let Michigan take it." I do think that if Alabama would not have been as under much pressure, would have actually went ahead and scored first and probably put the pressure on Michigan and maybe got the win. But hey, that's neither here nor there. They decided to defer, and that's just what it is. But that's how close that game was, and that's why I think that Washington may have a better chance. Quick shout out to James Moorhead coming through with the $5 super chat. So salute to you and your concert, bro. Much love. Dang, almost got the giveaway. You did, bro. You did. It was a great giveaway. It was fun. Like I said, I got some more stuff coming for you guys. Shout out to the bench for winning it. But yeah, some people are close. They're close. They're close. They're like, I said 83 in my head, and I was like, you know what? Andre Reed. And it was funny because only one person actually got where that number came from. So shout out to you for getting it. But thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. Shout out to you, James. Much appreciated. Thank you for the $5 super chat donation, my friend. All right. Five Times says that would be a neat matchup. Teddy says, Jay, who would you take? Alabama versus FSU? Come on now. You know I'm taking my FSU, man. I'm taking my Seminoles now. We're not gonna talk about it. You're trying to take me down that path, and I don't want that path. I'm trying to just have a calm, nice conversation with you guys tonight. You want to take me down this FSU discussion? I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Uh, says Michigan needs to play FSU. Sure, that'd be great. Blake says, what time does the game start? Monday. The game starts at 7:30, but I'll probably start a little early, probably around like 6:45, 6:30, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be streaming it. So right around there, I'll start. But the actual game's at 7:30. Lori says, "Go blue." Shout out to you, Lori. Jason Trainer says, "Go blue." All right, all right. So yeah, drop it in the chat what you guys think as far as your score predictions, and then we'll see how you guys feel about it, and then we'll try to wrap this thing up here. But let me know how you feel as far as your score predictions, and what do you guys think? Shout out to Donald says no talking about Jay's fake beard. Yeah, yeah, this thing's real fake. It's like it's really thin. Like I mean, I could get it thicker. I've done it thicker before, but I decided to cut it down a little bit. But yeah, the fake beard, yo. The fakery beard, the drawn on beard. Teddy says, "Let's go dogs." Josh Smith says, "Go Washington." Okay, Josh, shout out to you, man. Let's see. Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna put up a poll real quick. I might just put up a poll. Miles says, Jay, I'm standing right in front of the Michigan Stadium, the big house. And I'm going to say it with my chest. Michigan will beat Washington. Go blue. By the way, I was here on November 25th for the OSU game. Shout out to you, Miles. Let's go, bro. My man said, I'm standing right in front of the stadium, and I'm going to say it to you. Go blue. Let's go, man. Let's go. Donald says 36-30 Michigan. James says 27-32 Michigan. Lorenzo says Washington 55, Michigan 31. Okay. Let me go ahead and actually let me put up a poll real quick. I just want to see who you guys vote real fast, and then we'll see how interesting this thing gets. We'll see how interesting this thing gets. As I'm putting up this poll, did anybody see the I don't know how many Cat Williams fans or how many Shannon Sharp fans we got in the house. Did anybody see that Cat Williams interview? Things a little crazy. It's a little crazy. If you're a fan of comedy, if you're a fan of Cat Williams and Shannon Sharp, he did an interview today, or not today, but yesterday. It was absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Donald says I saw it. Yo, that thing was wild, bro. It was wild. I'm still not done with it. It's like 2 hours and 46 minutes. I think I'm at like the hour 50. I've been like doing work and then I like pause it, finish my work, and then go back to watching it. And I'm like an hour and 50 minutes in right now, and I'm still not done with it. It's crazy. It's definitely crazy. All right, so let me put up the poll here for you guys. Who's taking it? Michigan. Come on, there we go. And Washington. All right, there we go. Teddy says saw it. Did you watch the whole thing? Because I only seen like I said like an hour and like 50 minutes of it, and it's just been absolutely crazy. It's been crazy. Shout out to Miss says let's go UW, go Huskies. Let's go, man. Teddy says Jay, who you take Georgia versus Michigan? Ooh, it's a good one. I mean, right now I'd have to take Michigan. Right, they're right now in the championship, so I got to go with them. They've been playing the best ball we've seen in a while, so sure, without a doubt. Uh, Puck says 33-24 Washington. Okay, okay. Uh, Donald says saw it. Teddy says saw it. I was dying watching. Yeah, it was funny. It was funny, man. It was definitely funny. There was a lot that Cat Williams basically like exposed in regards to the comedy and the entertainment industry, and like I feel like whenever he gets into these interviews, it's always eye opening because he talks about you know not just the comedy aspect of the entertainment business, but he gets into like life and things like that, and it's always good to hear his story because I like his comedy. I think he's definitely up there as far as one of the top comedians, and it's just amazing to hear like some of the stuff that we don't really hear or that's behind the scenes, and he's like being funny about it, but he's not even joking, right? He's like telling his actual like true stories, and it's obviously all from a entertainment point of view, but you can tell that some of these stories are actually like legit, and it just makes you sit back and wonder like, oh, okay, that's crazy. Uh, so yeah, yeah, it's good. It's good to check it out. If you haven't checked it out, go check out that Cat Williams interview. It's wild. It's wild. If you're a fan of comedy, you're a fan of Cat Williams, make sure you check it out. Miles says, Jay, what's the number? I'll send pics of me in front of the stadium. Um, actually, I don't have my app pulled up here right now. What I'll do is, yeah, send it to me on Facebook. Send it to me on Facebook so I can check it out. All right, so as we get into the poll, we got 23 votes. 23 votes. 57% for Washington, holding it down. Holding it down. Very interesting. 24 now, 24 votes. 58% for Washington. I can't wait to actually see how this poll moves on game day because I know it's absolutely going to be nuts once we get to game day. I'm definitely excited for it for sure. Yeah, as far as the poll goes, Washington's currently winning by 56%. 56%. Shout out to Reverend. What up, man? What's going on with you? It says 24 Michigan, 21 Washington. Game winning field goal after a Washington comeback. Okay. Okay. I like it. I right now I really don't even feel like there's a true wrong answer. I don't feel like there's a true wrong answer to who could potentially win this game because everyone's talking about the defense and the offensive line and everything like that. But this is one game where I feel like it really could go either way. It really could. X factor is probably going to be Penix and how he's able to navigate, the defense as far as them breaking down that offensive line. For Washington on the flip side, whether or not I think McCarthy can actually stay focused and he can go out there and maintain a good game and not make any mistakes. That's all going to play into it because if Washington can get going, they can definitely start running up the score. And we've seen that time and time again. And I think at the end of the day, if Michigan doesn't come and play their best game, that's what we may see for sure. Donald says, "Does Harbaugh stay at Michigan?" Someone was saying something about him going to the Raiders. I was reading that the other day. I think it was just speculation or just talks. But, he potentially could go to the Raiders, which is crazy because would that work? I could see him probably fitting in with the Raiders organization and fitting right in with that culture. It could probably work, something like that. Puck says, "Flip a coin, Jay." That's what I'm saying. You could, you could. Shout out to you, Lori. See you Monday. So before we get up out of here, here's a wild one. Here's a wild one for sure. Obviously, we know that the Bills and the Dolphins play Monday night or not, Sunday night. Sunday night. Bills and Dolphins play Sunday night. And I was looking at a couple of things as far as the schedule. I was also looking at a few posts about what this game means to the Bills and how the playoff implications and all that stuff. And I was basically saying, like, okay, obviously, if the Steelers win and the Jags win, well, if Bills lose, then they don't go to the playoffs. Well, Bills is the last game of the night. So if we want to go, because people always bring up the whole, oh, it's scripted and it's this and it's that. Well, if it's scripted, right? If the NFL is scripted, you're going to make the last game of the night the most hype, the most intense, and you're going to say, well, this is win or go home for the Bills. So that would mean that we should expect, and I have to say expect, that Steelers win and Jags win. So for my betters out there, maybe it's something to look into as far as that specific parlay, and maybe you want to add in a Texans or a tight or a Texans and a Colts in there as well, depending on which way you want to go or if you want to bet both to hedge. I'm just saying something to think about, something to pay attention to because if if it's scripted, they'd want that game to be the most important game at 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday. So there you go. There you go. Teddy says if the Bills win, they'll play Kansas City Chiefs. We will, or the Dolphins? Because I thought it was the Dolphins that play Kansas City. If we win, let me know. Yeah, Dalvin Cook, he went to the Ravens. Yeah, I seen that earlier. Mid says Washington's O line wins the award for best O line in college. Okay. Donald says several Dolphin starters are out. Yeah, I've seen that, but that doesn't mean too much when you still have rival team and you're in their house. There's a lot that goes into that for sure. Dolphins play Kansas City if we win. Yeah, yeah. That's what I thought it was. I seen something like that earlier. I think it was Dolphins play Kansas City if the Bills win. Yeah. So, no, it's. I'm pretty sure it's Dolphins. Dolphins versus Kansas City, which to be honest, I've been saying this all along. I basically wanted to see the Chiefs and the Bills rematch in the AFC Championship, so that the Bills could actually go out there and actually get the win. Like that's what I wanted to see. Now, whether we will, that's another topic for another day. But I think at the end of the day, we're probably going to see a situation to where whoever gets to the AFC Championship is going to Baltimore for it. Miles says Washington hasn't played a defense like Michigan's. Late season player resting happen in every sport when slots are filled. You know, there's been a lot of talk about this and a lot of controversy behind it. But if you've already punched your ticket to the playoffs, and you know this game really doesn't matter to you in a sense, because seeding does matter sometimes, and you may not want to play against this team, and I get it. But you've already punched your seat to the playoffs. This game, you may want to rest your starters, get them ready for the playoffs, give them a little bit of time before everything can start, because the playoffs are literally in 1 week. 1 week. So, it's not like you have that much time to really game plan and prepare, especially when you have a game coming up on Sunday. So, if you're trying to be ahead of the game and make proper decisions as far as your personnel and who you need on the field and your pieces to the puzzle that need to fit, you're probably going to want to rest the best people that you'd need, or at least take them out early if you have a considerable lead in the game. In the game. Dexter says the Bills win against the Dolphins. They will play the Colts, Texans, or Jags in round one, or whoever's the seventh seed. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Teddy says I want to see the Bills beat the Ravens. I'd love to see that. I really would. I'd love to see the Ravens. I'd love to see the Chiefs. Maybe the Browns could. It could be the Browns too. I think right now, like I said, the AFC is really, really up for grabs for almost everybody, right? I don't I don't think the Jags really got a shot at moving past the first round, or the Steelers if they make it. So I just don't see that happening. But yeah, I mean, Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, get that spark. It's way different, getting into the playoffs and things like that than obviously, Baltimore's been doing a hell of a job. And the Browns with Flacco, I mean, that's stuff that legends are made of, and these are the kind of situations that you just don't know what to expect. Everybody's been saying, "Oh, Jay, it's all figured out. The colors for the Super Bowl. It's the Ravens and the 49ers." I mean, it sounds good, right? That's the easy way to go about it. But I'm sure that there's millions of dollars specifically just on those two teams reaching the NFL that Vegas would love to have that money and not have to pay it out. Just saying. Just saying. Shout out to you, Ernie. What up, yo? What's going on with you? Bob Evans, what up, man? What's going on with you? Shout out to Jonas, as Michigan Wolverines has the best defense this year in college football. Yeah, not knocking their defense at all, right? Not knocking their defense at all. I think the reality is this, though. Once we get to Monday, right, I think both sides, the quarterback is going to be the X factor and what they're able to play through and what they're able to not only achieve on the field, but how they're able to decipher the defenses. Because we know that, Michael Penix Jr. probably doesn't have the best offensive line. So going up against that Michigan defense is definitely going to lead to trouble. But this is where heart, determination, and talent really sticks out, especially when we get into a championship game for sure. For sure. Ernie says Jags were a big disappointment. That's a fact. That's a fact. Shante says, like you, Jay, the Jaguars disappointed me very much this year. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has high expectations for the Jaguars because, you know, Trevor Lawrence is a franchise quarterback who we expect to go out there and play elite and be great. He's had his troubles. He's had his, he looks basically like a shell of himself. You can talk about injuries and things like that, but that team just hasn't been clicking. And I think the same thing happened with the Chiefs, right? We all know the talent that the Chiefs have and the personnel over there, but I think the reality is this. Once we got further along in the season, things got figured out and defenses stepped up. And, certain people literally dropped the ball when it came to the Chiefs. And, there's a few teams that are basically stuck in that kind of space. But like I said, the playoffs change things. The playoffs are way different, and you're going to see a lot of people actually step up and play at that elite level because there's much more at stake for sure. For sure. Bubba Trace says 707 Michigan hardball, the new Saban. Let's go, yeah. Ernie says I'm a Duck fan, but rooted for the Pac-12 and UW. All right. All right. Michael says Cowboys Chiefs. Someone said they changed the colors. Shout out to you, Michael. Um, you know, there's always the speculation on like the color thing and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't done research as far as how many Super Bowls had the colors and then matched up the teams before it happened. That's probably something I'll do. Maybe tomorrow I'll look into it and see if there's any kind of like statistical value behind that and see how funny it is and whether or not it makes sense. But there's always people that will try to tie those two things together and be like, "Oh, they're giving everyone hits. That this is what's going to be the Super Bowl, considering the colors that they're using for it." And then we have like two off the wall teams that make it, and their colors have nothing to do with what we've seen. So it'll be interesting, man. It'll be interesting. Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Cowboys, right? I mean, if you go back, was it 93? Was that 93? Bills, Cowboys, Super Bowl? I'm thinking I'm right. I'm thinking that was the one. Yeah, Cowboys, Bills, Super Bowl back in 93. So, hey, you can go with that theory too. Oh, man, Bills, Cowboys rematch. There's so many different ways that you can go about it for sure. That is a fact. Shout out to you, Bob. What up, man? What's going on with you? Dexter says, I think Dolphins are risking Tua getting hurt bad and ending their playoff run because of it. So if I was them, you're down by like 20 something when you don't make the mistake you made with Chubb and sit Tua for sure. Shout out to you, Sirius. What up, man? What's going on with you? Jonas says Washington has the worst rush defense, and Blake will eat those yards. Won't have to worry about the pass if Blake and Edwards get going in rushing yards. We'll see. We'll see. Right? I didn't like how Michigan started against Alabama. They came out a little shaky, a little nervous, making mistakes. And you know, I definitely think if Michigan comes out strong and plays dominant, then yeah, Washington may be in trouble. But if Michigan makes mistakes, I'm sure that Washington will find a way to capitalize on them more than what other teams have. Shout out to you, Jonas. Will Eagles get out of their funk? It's a good question. That's definitely a good question. I'm not sure if it's one of those situations where Hertz is at the point where, he's able to mix things up. Because when we talk about the Eagles franchise, there is a lot more than just Hurts. There's a lot more than just that defense. I think there was some kind of, issue in the locker room as far as morale. All that plays into, the team victory. And so when you have those kind of situations and when you have distractions, that takes away from whether or not a team can go out there and truly perform at the level that they need to, especially getting into the playoffs. So obviously they've already punched their ticket. We'll know once we get there. And I obviously have to go through as far as, playoff predictions and stuff like that. Right now, I'm not sure. I'll have to see when we get there, man. And then from that point on, I can make a decision as far as how far the Eagles may or may not go. But for right now, I think things are up in the air as far as the team goes, and we'll know if they're true contenders once we figure out who they're playing against and how they play in that game. Shout out to you, man. Much love, bro. Bob says Pro Bowl is flag football again. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad streaming it last year for sure. Reverend says I think a low scoring first half that ends with Michigan gets last score of the first half and first of second half, which puts Washington behind and eventually find rhythm in the end of the third. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like what happened with Alabama, Michigan, and on Monday there. Um, it's possible. It's just going to be so hard to tell because you could have a situation where Washington comes out and just plays like trash, and then Michigan runs up 20 points in the first quarter, and everybody's just sitting there like, all right, there it is. Or on the flip side, you could have, a 0-0 first quarter. We're still waiting for somebody to score. Something big breaks for either Michigan or Washington. And everybody's freaking out. And, it's one of those type of games. So, you know, it's very easy to get into the speculation. I think we're going to see a nice steady flow of offense on both sides. I don't think it's going to be as of a high scoring game for sure. I think it's probably going to be right in the middle. They were calling for around 56, yeah, 56 and a half. I think we're probably gonna hit under that as far as in the championship though. Shout out to you, Reverend. Says just wear a cardinal on your helmet. Let's go. What up, Rodney? What's going on with you? Um, where else we at? Furious Storm, what up, man? What's going on with you, bro? Robert says the Michigan Wolverines will win. It's destiny. It sounds like a Star Wars movie. It's your destiny. Um, I like Michigan. I've been saying that they were going to go far. They were going to make it to the championship. I called it. And now at this point, will they win the championship and be the champions? I think that's become a little hazy for me, and that's why I'm taking Washington by 7. I think it's that, like I said, it's definitely going to come down to the wire, and we'll probably see a different game that we've seen from the Alabama game for sure. That is for sure. But yeah, man, I'm excited for it. We'll be streaming it on Monday night. It's gonna be a great game, I'm sure, and we'll have all the excitement and hype and great moments, and it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. Big snow this weekend? Nah, man. We had a little bit of snow. Yeah, we had a little bit of snow, but nothing crazy. Bob says Mizzou Tigers had a good game, made it to a bowl. They did. They did. And it was great. It was definitely great. References back to the Cat Williams situation. Uh, says when you get folk like him and Chappelle who are uncancelable and not scared to be canceled, you get this raw commentary. Yeah, so we can veer off a little bit before I get up out of here. So, like I said, if you're a fan of comedy, go watch the interview. It's on Club Shay Shay, the Shannon Sharp show, basically. And he interviews Cat Williams, and it's just absolutely amazing. It's literally 2 hours and 46 minutes of just raw, real, unadulterated discussion. And he breaks a lot down as far as his life. He breaks a lot down as far as the comedy industry, and a lot of things in regards to the entertainment industry. Some stuff that like I knew about, and some stuff that I didn't know about, and some stuff I was very surprised about. And I think that interview is almost at like 10 million views, or it's just over 10 million views. That video did 10 million views in 24 hours. That's how big this interview was. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. And, maybe that's something that we could chop up about eventually, because it's wild. It's wild. Michael, yeah, it was a great interview for sure. Bob says Ember is heading to the East Coast. The Weather Channel has named this storm. I'm going to have to check that out. I'm gonna have to check that out and see what's going on. But yeah, I didn't see anything as far as snow goes. Rodney says Shannon is grim. Listen, I don't know what they was drinking, but whatever they was drinking definitely helped bring out uh everything that was on that man's mind for sure. That is for sure. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday I'm gonna be streaming Texans Colts. Sunday Bills Dolphins. Monday Washington and Michigan. Make sure you guys lock it in. I will see you all then. In the meantime, you guys have yourself a great night. May you have good rest, and we'll see you guys soon. We'll see you guys soon. Have a great night. Peace.